Welcome to the Weather Guru podcast for this Friday, March 8, 2024. We're going to start by looking at the current satellite radar composite for the lower 48 United States. And right now you can see a bunch of rain in the southeast and the upper Midwest here. Now this rain will continue to persist as a frontal boundary is charging eastward here. And most of the heaviest rain is centered along I-20 corridor from Atlanta to Birmingham through Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and back into Jackson, Mississippi. Some of the deeper yellows and greens here are depicted on the map here. But as this rain continues to charge northeastward, places like Atlanta, the North Georgia Mountains, the Smokies Mountains, and those areas close to the I-85 corridor through Greenville, Charlotte, the Triad of North Carolina, up through Richmond, Virginia, I-95 corridor, and later on tonight, we'll begin to get soaking rain. This rain is going to expect to put down another 1 to 2 inches, like I said, in the Mississippi Valley Delta into the Tennessee Valley and up through the Appalachians and the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast eventually overnight tonight. Up north, this rain will continue to fall. It's a cold rain. As a matter of fact, some snow showers will come on the backside of that, but right now we have rain in Chicago, Grand Rapids, Indianapolis, through the I-70 corridor, Columbus, Indianapolis, St. Louis there. And out west, we just have these showers that continue in Oklahoma City, Lawton, around the Red River Valley there. And these showers, snow showers on the back end of that's pushing south of lower Nebraska and the west of Denver, Boulder, Colorado, out through the I-70, the Continental Divide, down through New Mexico and the Raton Pass and some of the high-level passes there, the Sangre de Cristo Mountains of New Mexico. So that's what we have going on there as far as precipitation. Now out west, we do have those showers that will continuing in this rain, valley rain and mountain snow for Seattle, Bellingham, coming up that I-5 corridor there, Everett, and we have those snow showers confined to the upper Kitsap Peninsula way across in Vancouver and British Columbia there in the Rockies of British Columbia. So that's what we have going on for our National Weather Service, courtesy of National Weather Service radar picture. This will continue through Friday. We have those hazards here through Saturday morning here, and most of the hazards seem confined in terms of flooding rains because some of the rivers are already high there, the Chattahoochee River and some of the other rivers, the Flint River in Georgia and some of the other rivers in Alabama, Tallapoosa River, the Black River, the Catawba River in Alabama and central Alabama and southern Alabama are already high. So that's why they issued, the National Weather Service has issued a flood watch in effect for central Alabama, central Georgia, northern Georgia mountains, and the upstate of South Carolina there. As some of those runoff from the rivers and streams continue to plague that area. Now, also in that area, there's also going to be, denoted in red here, dark red, is a flash flood warning just south of Jackson, Mississippi, Meridian, Mississippi, back toward the Mississippi River. So if you're in that area, be very careful for flash flooding there in the low country of Mississippi. And down, there's a tornado watch in effect now. This is very serious for those in New Orleans, Slidell, Baton Rouge, coming back through Biloxi, Mississippi, and Hattiesburg, Mississippi. Mobile, you're included in that as well, in the Gulf Coast of Alabama, Gulf Shores, and Orange Beach, Alabama. So if you're in that area, just be careful. Some of these storms extended out toward in the marine area too, from Mississippi and Alabama. That indicates that it could be some water spouts forming and coming on shore there, in that area, in that pocket there between Hattiesburg. Between Biloxi and the I-10 corridor, Mobile and Orange Beach, Alabama, and those areas going into Slidell, New Orleans, all those areas, Houma Parish, all those areas back towards not quite Lake Charles, but those areas in central and southern Louisiana, and that on the coast there immediately from Biloxi over toward Mobile and Orange Beach, Alabama. Be very careful for water spouts that either come on shore or you can have tornado watch. The tornado watch could have some instability that could lead to tornadoes on land as well. But hail will definitely be a threat as well if there's not a tornado on the ground in that area. Now also up north we have the winter storm watches in effect for the northern Adirondacks, the Green and White Mountains of Vermont, and also in Maine as well. So there is some for snow lovers. You have to go well up toward the Canadian border, but you will have snow available there as we have a winter storm watch for that area there as the low pressure system comes out of the Great Lakes and moves across New England in association with that cold front, as I mentioned earlier, coming across. That's later on tonight, Friday night, and the Saturday morning. Now, Texas, you have high wind warning watches. This is in the Red River Valley in the Texas Hill Country, just southwest of Austin, Texas. And you have a red flag warning along the Rio Grande Valley. So if you're in Brownsville, McAllen, Laredo, be very careful there. Red flag warning, you don't want to be burning anything. It's very dry and hot conditions continue in southern Texas. Now, this is what we have going on in California. We have that we had the winter storm watch. It's now all the way shrunk just to I-80 and Truckee. in that area north of Truckee, those high Sierra Mountains there. So it's extended, it's shrunk now. So not as much precipitation as we've seen in the last 2 weeks in those high Sierra where we had like 6, 8, 10 feet of snow. That is starting to be reduced now to just the general mountain snow showers that we've seen. So winter storm watch in the blue is issued for that. And also just a high wind advisory around the Mount Shasta, Weed, California, north of there on the I-5. You're coming into California, Northern California. Be very careful for that. There's a wind advisory for high profile vehicles in the central valleys of Oregon, the Central Cascade, of Oregon there, just east of I-5 coming through Oregon there along the border. So be very careful there. Some of the high profile vehicles could be tipped over as those crosswinds come through there. Now, also, as I mentioned, along the I-95 corridor, we do have some flood watches in effect for the coastal New Jersey, northern shore there, heading back towards, Perth, Amboy, and coming up through New York, and coming up those northern New Jersey mountain counties up there, north of Passaic and Summit and those areas there in Paterson, New Jersey. Okay, there's a flood watch and extension for that as well. And then there's also a coastal flood watch for the Chesapeake Valley there in the Delaware Valley. So if you're in Philadelphia, coming through Trenton, New Jersey area, Camden, New Jersey, through Delaware, there, Wilmington, Delaware, and the Chesapeake Bay. Be very careful. There's a coastal flood watch as those winds are coming, those onshore flow winds coming in. That's going to be pushing that water back into the bay there. As this front exits the area there, the wind direction is going to change, and that's why they had that alert there for you. So just be a heads up. Look at the temperatures, guys. We have extremely southwest warming winds coming in. It's been coming in for the last few days, and just being a beautiful temperatures here for the high temperatures. 66 degrees into Charleston, West Virginia, 60 degrees into DC, 58 degrees Fahrenheit in the Philly, 53 in New York City Fahrenheit, 74 degrees Fahrenheit in Macon, 84 degrees in Palm Beach and Palm Coast, 82 degrees in Miami Fahrenheit, 84 degrees in Austin, 75 degrees Fahrenheit in Dallas. So temperatures have been very warm here, and this has surged all the way up to Cleveland, 61 degrees Fahrenheit. And you can clearly delineate the frontal boundary here, right? From Chicago is at 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Columbus is at 63 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can see the frontal boundary. It's already eclipsed the Great Lakes area here, and you can clearly see that here on the map here where the cold frontal boundary is, in addition to the upper level lower pressure that's moving through the Great Lakes coming across to combine and phase and make those showers there. That's going to be making its way through the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic later on in Friday, probably 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock we're talking about. And this is going to last through the morning here as that rain exits in the morning, Saturday morning. Out west, temperatures in the Intermountain West, pretty average and pretty typical. 36 for Denver is nothing crazy. And this time, typical for this time in the early, late winter here, as we're not quite in the spring. We're in the meteorological spring, but not quite over to in the springtime. And California in the desert Southwest, absolutely perfect. 71 degrees Fahrenheit in Phoenix, 67 degrees Fahrenheit in LA, 58 degrees, 53 degrees Fahrenheit in Seattle. So very nice. So if you look at the next few days here, you can see as I advance the GFS model here, you can see that there's some showers there. As I said, that system is going to phase, come a couple of showers through the low pressure systems, and off we go. And it's going to leave some residual snowfall here on Monday. And that's why the National Weather Service has issued those closest to the Canadian border and the Tug Hill Plateau of New York and the Adirondacks and the Green Mountains of Vermont. It's just going to touch them with an additional snowfall. Nothing crazy, but, those northwest winds, as it's blowing over the lakes there, some of the lakes anyway, the eastern Great Lakes, is going to create some snow showers here. And some chance going to snip into Pennsylvania here. So it could be possible that Pittsburgh, you may see some flurries. Erie, you may see a couple of snow showers. And along that border there, Bradford, PA, north of I-80, the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and into the Finger Lakes of New York, and of course the Adirondacks and the Tug Hill Plateau and the Green White Mountains of Vermont. So that's what we have going on there. That's going to exit out, nothing crazy, and then high pressure builds again, and then you see all this warming areas, isobars here. So we don't see a whole huge push of cold air. The Intermountain West, of course, will get their dosages of snow, along with Yellowstone and all those parks up there in Wyoming and the Four Corners. They're going to get their snow, of course. Nothing too typical. That's pretty typical for this time of year. But then we're going to see in the southeast, we're going to see those storms begin to rumble, and this is toward the next Saturday, March 16th. Those storms could be severe there on the Gulf Coast there, but we'll have to wait on that to see. It's too far out. But another cold push comes in, but nothing really substantial here. You can see the lake effect tries to get going toward the middle of March and bring some snow showers into the Ohio Valley, but nothing too crazy here, guys. The winter is going to be hanging on a little bit, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Temperatures may be above normal, as a matter of fact, looks like for much of March here, as we continue to see those systems phase across here, kind of a zonal flow going on here. here, but we do have a ridge and trough pattern coming toward the end of this week and the end of next week. Kind of a ridge and trough pattern that's going to be developing from west to east. Okay, guys, and that's what's going to be. But we don't see a whole lot of cold air coming into the country here. This is just standard fare. Maybe cold morning lows for some of you guys in the upper Midwest, like Minneapolis, Dakotas, Montana, stuff like that. But nothing during the daytime temperatures that would suggest breaking any record cold high temperatures, at least through the latter part of this winter. I know crazy big blizzard snowstorms are in the forecast, in other words, for the next 2-3 weeks here for anybody in the lower 48 states. So that's good news for those of us who are not too fond of snow. But for those of us who may like snow, then of course you have to go into the northern extreme northern tier of the country. Most likely, like I said, the Adirondacks, north of the Greenerite Mountains of Vermont, Maine, or you may have to go over toward the North Dakota border and the border with Canada and Montana if you want, and Intermountain West if you want to experience some type of snowfall for the remainder of this wintertime season. So this has been your update. This is the Weather Guru. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel, the Weather Guru, for the latest updates. And I thank you for your support. I'll see you in the next episode.